Hi everyone, my name is Ella. My background really is in football. So football in a sort of coaching role, mentor role, in research and in welfare, player welfare in the game. I've worked a lot at grassroots football, and I also worked for a while at Man City and player welfare, and then went to work on another project on the film Copper 71. And did some more sort of academic research around girls' participation in football and more widely in physical activity. So a bit of a mix of sort of sport and football roles. And then I got to a point where I have a passion in life and a drive, and it is what gets me like up and going every single day. And that is about physical activity as a tool to empower women and girls. And that is something that has been with me for years and years, and actually got to a point like last year when I finished my previous job and I wanted to do something about that. Like I've done a lot of sort of small projects on the side, but I wanted this to be like can this be a job? Can I actually combine what I love and what I care about and turn it into a job? And so that's when I decided in July last year to set up my not-for-profit organisation, Our Goal, which I'm sure I will talk more about in a bit. But yeah, that's kind of how I got to the entrepreneur program, because this was my first steps into business. Like I sort of know what my service is and what I do and what I believe in, but actually turning like an idea into a business is a completely new thing for me. I was at one of the watch parties. Firstly, I'm also like a massive Women in Football fan. I've been a member for ages, since I left uni like 6-7 years ago. And so I go to a lot of the events, and I was at a watch party for the World Cup in summer and was just chatting to some of the other members and to Amy from Partnerships, and talking about this business that I'd set up literally like I think a month previous to the watch party. And Amy said to me, "Oh, that's interesting, because we're actually launching this new program, and it's for entrepreneurs." And then I looked into it because it went live that day, I think. And it was like, when everything just falls into place. And I felt like it's as if somebody could have written this program for me. I felt like it could not have been better timing for where I was, like having just set up and being at a point where I was a bit lost, as in, like I always knew what I wanted to do, but I never knew how I was going to make a sustainable business out of it. So actually, when I saw the program, I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to apply. So yeah. Yes. So the program has been a mix of online and in-person events, and which have all been amazing. I think the in-person events are always good. Those events are always like intense, long days, but they've actually been like very like full of important information. I think we were all at different stages in our business on the program, but I felt like I was at a really like crucial stage to learn a lot of the basics there that we did learn about. Like I remember when we went to the head offices, the Xero head offices in Milton Keynes, and we had like a finance morning, which sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it was so helpful. It was a lot of information to process. And it was also the first time that I was really seeing Xero, the app. But a lot of things stuck with me from that session, including, this is also like probably like not that useful information, but cash flow forecasts, like it's just not my area of expertise, numbers or anything like that. But how they work, and the fact that if you want to, you can do a week by week cash flow forecast if you've got a small business, because you might not be able to plan so far ahead. Because at that stage I was like, I don't know when the next bit of money's coming in or when it's going out, but actually working on like a really sort of week by week basis, like the woman that was delivering the thing just told us this was an option, and I was like, yes, that's such a good idea, and it's something that I try and do now. So the in-person ones have been amazing. The online sessions have been really good. We've had guest speaker sessions as well. And I have to say that the one we had a couple of weeks ago with Helen Hardy was like so inspiring. I've never, like, I was like glued to the screen, and everything she was saying, she's unbelievable and has achieved so much in such a short space of time. Like I had no idea about the extent to everything she's done. And so actually I wouldn't have probably had the opportunity to just listen to her if it wasn't because of this program. So all the people we've listened to have been amazing, and she's someone that really stood out. I think the mix of what we've done has been amazing. We've got the graduation session coming up in June, which will be lovely as well. And I think a really big part, probably the biggest part of the program for me, has been the network of the other, not only the other women on the program, because that's been amazing, but also like the Women in Football network that we've sort of had access to and felt a little bit more part of that from being like just a member of Women in Football, actually now to feeling like, okay, I'm actually part of the Xero program, which has been really nice. The sort of most basic way has been that it's skilled me up in a lot of skills that I just didn't have to begin with, particularly around like finance and accounting. And we did a really good session on marketing as well, actually like personal marketing and also marketing for your brand, which I found really helpful. So skilling up in those areas that I've never sort of, for some people, this is like their full-time job. And so when you come in and set a business, you have to pick out learn as you go, pick up bits as you go. So it's been really good for that. I think the network, as I mentioned, has been really good. And we have a WhatsApp group chat with all the women that are on the program. And that's kind of like a really core part of the program as well. I feel like that should be sold with the program, the WhatsApp group chat, because that's like your instant, if you need something small. I think I asked for like a contract template once, and like 2 people sent me one through on email. Just like if you need a quick second opinion or someone's advice on something, I think that's been really key and like a really positive thing from the program. I would say 2 things stand out to me. Actually, no, 3 things. Which is, this is going to sound ridiculous, but like I understand what accounting is now, because I didn't know what the difference was between like money and accounts and all of these things. And actually when people talk about submitting your accounts, I was like, what does that even mean? And I feel like I understand what my accounts are, what I need to do, what they need to look like. I can kind of like read basic accounts like profit and loss and all of those things, which are like seriously essential bits of information if you're trying to run a business. And that's like through using Xero and through the sort of help sessions that we've had with that. More specific skill, I will also just mention the marketing session, the personal branding session that we did with Michelle, was like, for me, a complete game changer, because she talked about the how useful LinkedIn can be in like putting yourself out there. And I think when I set up my business, I was very focused on like everything going through my business, as in I put a lot of time into sort of Argle, my organization's social media and everything, and actually kind of left my personal stuff to the side. And actually I'm the one that's running the business, and I'm the one that needs to have the sort of profile as the person that's leading this business and also doing other things as well. So I think Michelle spoke about that, and it kind of like changed a sort of switch in my head. And she spoke about using LinkedIn and writing articles and things. And off the back of that, I wrote an article on LinkedIn, which was super successful, like amazing. I think it just struck a chord with a lot of readers, and it was about teenage girls disengaging with sport. And really like boosted my confidence in myself and sort of what I can put out there in my content, but also my public profile as well. I think that's had a really big impact. So that was like 2 good moments. And the third moment I was going to mention, we did recently a pitching session with Lisa, which for me came at a time when I got invited to do a really important pitch. And so I have been going back over my notes from that session. And I think it was amazing that Lisa did it, because she was very honest and open about her journey to how, from where she started to how she pitches now. And I think that's very like, we've had access to a lot of women, well, a lot of people that have been very honest and open about their journeys and shared that with us, which is good, because obviously a lot of us are just new and starting out in this. My business has evolved a lot since I first set it up, because at the beginning it was very football focused, because that's my background and experience is particularly working with women and girls in football and the impact that can have off pitch. But I always felt like I was not sure if I was solving anybody's problem. And I heard this a lot, like if you're setting up a business, you need to be solving somebody's problem. And I couldn't quite work out how to do that. And I set up an event in August last year. It was going to be like my launch event. And I had it out for like a month and I got one sign up for it. In the end, I had to cancel the event because I couldn't run it with one girl there. And so this was like a month, 2 months into the business. And I thought, this is not going to work. Like, how can I ever make a sustainable business out of this when I can't even get people down to my event? And this coincided with like being part of the program and being part of something bigger. And actually kind of went back to not the drawing board, but I spoke to a lot of people about what I do and what people's problems are. And I went into schools and I spoke to teachers and I spoke to girls. And actually, since then, my business has evolved into something that is much bigger than football, because now what Our Goal does is about re-engaging inactive teenage girls. So it's a school-based, the main sort of service is a school-based mentoring program. So going into schools and working with the teenage girls that are disengaging with physical activity on a long-term mentoring physical activity program that's designed, it's co-constructed, designed by the girls, but designed to overcome the barriers that they're facing to being active. And actually, I worked like a school was really gave me an opportunity to like develop this program with them in the school, and they were amazing. And it's completely changed the way that my business is going. And actually, that is now 100% the main focus of Our Goal, is this program that is working with the teenage girls that are dropping out of physical activity, which, by the way, is 43% of teenage girls dropping out of sport in their teenage years. So, yeah, I think this is where I had like a terrible turnout to an event that I had to cancel, which was a massive knock so early on, but actually served as like and not a lesson, but it's like you have to pivot, like you have to learn to work around these problems. And it's actually meant that I do something now that's so much more needed and valuable in society than what I was doing, which was great, but a little extra. Now what I do is like really important. After the branding session that we had with Michelle, I wrote an article on LinkedIn that was really good. And actually, Michelle then asked if they could publish it on the Women in Football website. So for me, that was like amazing, because that was like a whole other audience that I was not going to be able to access on my own. Being part of this program, the Women in Football and Xero program, meant that something that I'd written could go out to, like, I don't know how many people, thousands more people that potentially might have wanted to read it. And off the back of that, like having that visibility there, a lot of people got in touch with me, like through my website or through my LinkedIn, including a lot of like younger, like student age girls, asking if they could volunteer, help out at Our Goal, if I could offer any advice on like how I've got to where I've got to, and all of these things, which for me was like a very that's exactly what I want to do with my business, right? Like provide opportunities for young women in and around sport and physical activity. So having that, being part of this program, has given me a much bigger reach and profile than I had beforehand. And I think when we first got onto the program, sort of our profiles and bios were all on the Women in Football website. So I think that has been, like a really important part of it. The program's really helped me to understand what my business is and what it isn't. I feel much clearer on like what my business does. And I think that's just through having a mix of like all the different things that we've covered. You know, every session that you do, you've got your business and only your business in mind. So like you're coming at it from all different angles, and there's so many things to consider, but it's really helped me to define what Our Goal is and what Our Goal does. I think that it's really helped me with, as I've mentioned already, but this is just like, if the numbers, it's helping me to think forward. Like I can now have like a 3-year financial forecast for the next 3 years, which is something that before I started this program would literally never had a clue of like why that was important and how to do it. And actually this is something that gives me like I'm able to plan a bit more strategically now and plan into the future, which is so important if I want my business to grow. I also think I generally just feel more confident in like being in charge of my business, and also knowing like which bits I can do and which bits I need help with, because obviously we cannot all do everything. Like I'm good at some bits of it, and some bits of it I need extra help with. And I think the program's been really helpful in defining which bits those are. Obviously, you have to apply for this. I cannot think of anything negative. Like there's been no negatives in this whole process. I was really lucky to get onto the program, and if you are lucky enough to get onto it, this is like 10 steps forward in the direction that you want to go in. I think you can probably tell, like, I can't sing the praises enough of this program and how much it's helped me. The content and the network and the sort of everything that's come with it. I think if there's any opportunities for programs like this, like, you 100% have to apply. And if you're lucky enough to get on, it will change the course of your business for the better. Good. I think Xero is like super user friendly. So I've already mentioned none of this, like the numbers is totally new to me. But it's like a normal phone app, like I feel like my mum could probably use it. And she's not like a super techie person. I think it is easy to use. Like we've also had some sort of crash courses in the sort of important bits and how to navigate the app basically. But generally I would say Xero is like so easy to use, and actually has I think we'll come on to this, but has had a big impact in terms of making my life easier running the business. So before I started using Xero, I think I started using it in around January. I just had like Excel spreadsheets, and I can't use Excel very well. So like, I don't know how to do the sort of auto formulas and all of that. So I was like, had my spreadsheet here, and then I had my calculator here, like inputting all the numbers. And it was just a total mess. And now like I have everything in one place. It's actually mostly automatic anyway. So like I'll spend some money or get some money in, and it just pops up on the app. And then all that data inputs into like various graphs and charts and things. It's just saved me time. Like it saved me so much time that I was spending on my Excel spreadsheet, that now I don't need to worry about that. Like it's freed me up to be able to essentially like run the business more, where actually I was trying to do a whole other job of like writing down all the pounds that I've spent and that I need to spend and all of those things. So yeah, it's the main thing that it's done for me is freed me up time wise. Just as like a bit of a support group, we're all kind of at similar-ish stages. Although I have to say, I've also learned a lot from the women that have got businesses that are a little bit further along. Like I remember when we had one of our first calls, and Kelly, who's the co-CEO of Nixie Body, was in her room with all of her stock behind her, and I was thinking, wow, like she's just so far along. And then two of the other girls, Hannah and Kate, who'd have 12 Technology, I think their organization is called, like I've recently just hired a new staff member. So for me, like they're much further along than I am, but that's like really helpful as well, because they've kind of been there. I mean, I know they're still working on it, but like having those sort of women at different stages, I think has been really helpful, and also like inspiring, because you can see that even though they're not 10 years ahead, they're maybe like, I actually don't know how many years, maybe like 3, 4, 5 years ahead. And so it's something that's attainable and reachable, and actually being able to just chat with all those other women, I think has been like really helpful, really important. Then we also share, one of the women is like now looking for a new job, and I think everyone sort of shares opportunities on there. I think it's just been like very supportive and opened up so many more doors, not just for me, but like for everyone on the program. And being part of, so that's being part of the cohort, but actually being part of the program and of Women in Football has made me feel like part of something bigger than what is just my organisation. Because I think when you set up on your own, it's like just you. Like I remember at my I was gonna say at my Christmas party, but what I meant to say was that at Christmas I didn't have a Christmas party, and everyone was going to the Christmas parties, and it was just me, obviously sat on my laptop at home thinking, wow, like, is this the future of me running a business? No more Christmas parties. But being part of something like the Women in Football Xero program is just a bigger community around you. And I think that's so important, because it can be easy to feel like it's just you fighting for your cause and what you believe in, but actually there's so many of us. And so it's so good for everyone to be brought together on this program.